Hey, what's up everybody? Yellow Turtle here with my co-host Beef. Welcome to another episode of the LUKSOfam podcast brought to you by KEEZ. The LUKSOfam podcast is meant to be a short and informational podcast where we provide some takes on the latest LUKSO news in the space. Today, we will be talking about the launching of LUKSO Mainnet that just happened last week on May 23rd. But before we do that, let's check in with my co-host Beef. Beef, how's it going, man?
What's up? What's up? I feel like I'm always complaining or saying something like sad in the beginning, but I'm super sore today. I've been playing more Thrill of the Fight on Oculus VR. Yeah, it's pretty tough. It gets
I
your
heard it's
cardio.
very realistic.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're not really punching somebody, but it definitely gets your heart going, though. So, like, I have to take breaks on, like, the final boss guy. He just won't go down. And yet I can go down in, like, 2 punches from him. So, I digress, though. Yeah, super pumped to talk about this stuff today.
Yeah, what a day. Looking back on last week with the Canvasland event, which we'll get into, the 6-hour Twitter space that KEEZ held, which I'm sure we'll talk about as well. But then overall, just watching how happy the team was in their clips on Twitter of when the first block was clearing. It just looked like a really exciting time.
Yeah, so let's talk about the mainnet launch that happened last week. What is the significance of LUKSO's mainnet launch in context of the project's evolution?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a really long time coming, right? We probably 7 years? I mean, that Fabian's been working on this stuff. I mean, in one of his last interviews on, I think it was the Green Pill, which is a bankless podcast, he talked about like kind of his journey and when he got into Bitcoin and then ended up working for the Ethereum Foundation for a little while, and then he ended up starting LUKSO, which took quite a long time for it to reach this point, but it's because Fabian wanted perfection this entire time. So there was a few delays and things of that nature, but we all knew why he was doing this. He believed in what he was doing. He was believed in making a better blockchain space, and with that came the launching of this project, along with 2 other side projects that they're working on with Dematerialized and Maison Licks. So you could tell it really meant a lot to the entire team. It meant a lot to Fabian, to Marjorie, just to see how much their team has grown as well. When I first got into LUKSO and into this space, I want to say the team was probably less than 10, maybe like less than 7, plus their advisor board, which we'll talk about later in the episode as well. But now I feel like they've grown to probably well over maybe 50, 70 employees worldwide, living in different countries, and then their decentralized working place, creating a decentralized network, that's going to create the new creative economy. So the significance and the evolution of the project is huge, right? It's the first giant step forward to many steps ahead, which will be really cool to see. It feels like it's a weight off of our shoulders, but at the same time, like the door is just opening, and this is the start of the first chapter. We've been in the prologue the whole time, so I'm just really, really excited about this.
Hell yeah, man. Me too. Super pumped. Everything that's happening. So much was happening last week. What do you think about where we stand in relation to like the timeline that they talked about in that article released by the team?
Yeah, so the timeline that was released in the third article predicted, or it said that mainnet would launch on May 23rd, so that was correct. So everything has gone smooth up until this point since that last article has come out, and then this will be a discovery period where they'll be testing the strength of the network for about a month or two, and then universal profiles are set to launch. At that point, we'll be able to use the new browser extension and be able to use certain dApps that are launching that'll be ready. I believe Universal Page will probably be the first one, but there's also probably some that'll come out of the woodworks and surprise us as well, which I'm very excited for. And then after that, there's nothing that the team has said officially, but I would assume that they're going to be rolling out their mobile app relatively soon. I'd say within a year and a half, because I know there's a lot of hiccups as far as developing on mobile with on the blockchain at the moment. Apple had some things in their user agreement that restricted a lot of projects, so that's one hiccup to jump through or to figure out. But no, I think within a month we'll be able to be playing with our universal profiles, get every all of our assets migrated from L14 over to Mainnet, which will be really cool to see. I know you're excited because I know you got quite the collection over there on your L14.
I wouldn't say quite the collection. There's a lot of people who show me up, but yeah, I'm pretty proud of it. I'm excited. It'll be interesting to see what the demand is for these like OG type pieces that some of us have. I know that I don't have some of the coolest ones in my opinion, like the monolith is pretty dope. I like the ether rings a lot. Those are pretty cool. Alts keeps promising me that he's going to give me those, so I'm looking forward to that. But anyway, let's talk about that metaverse party that KEEZ like hosted. What was the experience like working with Canvasland and I think it's Zen from Canvasland?
Yeah, so that was mostly Sage or at Improvda on Twitter, but me and Sage have been close friends since we were about 6 years old. So yeah, so he was working with Canvasland to host a metaverse party that was held in Spatial. Canvasland is a 3D world creating company, right? I guess that's the long and short of it is they design metaverse worlds for different projects, for themselves, for parties, for events, and everything in between. And they did an amazing job of putting together a really, really cool and interactive space within like a month or two, I believe. Yeah, that was awesome. We got to stream the blocks clearing on like a big screen in the space, so like everyone that was there could see it, and that was really interesting to see. There were little cars you could drive around in. There was a dance floor sponsored by Universal Page. Logos were up everywhere. The KEEZ logo, the LUKSO logo, the StakingVerse, Universal Page. It was really amazing to see, and we got over 600 views in the space, I believe, that day. And I think it was close to like 100 new users, or maybe even more than that. So yeah, it was just really awesome to see people taking the time to really kind of dive into this experience of being in Web3, being in the metaverse, and just trying something new. This is my second metaverse party that I've been to, and both are pretty fun. You just kind of get to chill at your house, get comfortable, and interact with all your friends. So it was interesting, but it's fun. Were you able to attend?
Yeah, I attended. I had to adapt to the baby schedule, but I was able to pop in and out of the spaces and then take some pics with you guys in Canvas Land. So that was pretty dope. Yeah, I wasn't able to watch like the actual moment that the blocks started clearing, but as soon as I woke up from baby nap, it was amazing to see, and I had to hop back on spaces. So, and you guys were still killing it. I mean, how long did you guys stay on spaces?
It was about 6 hours, maybe like 5 hours, 45 minutes, but I got rugged for the last hour. So
Yeah, I know. Else was saying like you can't talk or hear, right? You just were like there.
yes, I was the host, but yeah, my audio cut out, so I couldn't hear anybody. And I didn't know that you guys couldn't hear me, but I guess that's probably for the better because I was just saying, "Can you hear me?" for like 15 minutes. But yeah, Alt saved the day and took over as co-host, and I was just waiting in my DMs for the message to shut it down after 6 hours. But no, I wish I could have heard you guys for the last hour, especially after cooking was the one that convinced me to stay on. But it's okay. It was a fun time.
I was laughing when Cookin was doing that. He's like, "Hey man, you got to keep this going, but hey, I got to go." So, but hey, props to you for doing it for that long. I know we all appreciated you doing that. So, yeah, just wanted to say that. Hey, let's kind of dive into those projects though that got highlighted and had our logos kind of showcased in Canvasland. What's kind of the importance of StakingVerse, Universal Page, and KEEZ?
Yeah, I'd say that one of the biggest, like right off the bat, is that we've been in the community for quite a long time, all of us. Universal Page, they were in the first hackathon. StakingVerse is Jordy and Selby, who have been, deep in the community for a while, and then obviously with KEEZ, right? KEEZ launched, oh wow, I think it's like a little over 2 years ago, technically. So when we first started with Ethylorian, Alts, Rocks, Boosts, all those OGs in the space. So we've just been around, and I think we've always been a positive and driving force in the space, or at least we try to be. Right? There were some times where things were a little doubtful, or people had their questions, but I'd say that these three projects and that core group of people who have all worked together for quite some time have always found the light at the end of the tunnel. I think that we all took our time to really do our research on this project, read the documentation, read the white paper, listen to all the podcasts and videos out there, attend the virtual events, participate in the hackathons. I think that we've just been around essentially, and we've always tried to foster a positive community, and we really hope to continue to do that and inspire other people coming to the LUKSO space to make these connections and do all the research that we've done and fall in love with this project. So I think that that's kind of one of the first things I could say about these three projects, and the similarities between the three is just how much we believe in this project for good reason as well. Yeah, I want to hear your thoughts on these projects as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we are the, not to toot our own horn, but kind of the cornerstones of the community. We're the first groups that are building, and it's not just protocols, it's not just dApps, but it's also like growing that community bond. And I feel like each of us is contributing a big part in our own ways. So it's kind of really nice to get that recognition in Canvasland at this Genesis Metaverse Party. Yeah, it makes me feel good. And hosting these community events just like really reinforces that bond. It's really important. And I'm really happy that KEEZ decided to kind of organize it with Canvasland and bring it to everybody. So, 'cause I know that I appreciated it, and I'm sure everyone had a blast.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. And shout out to Canvasland as well for that space that we were in is open indefinitely. So like we can any Luxo community or project, if they wanted to host something there or just go hang out there, you can join in on your desktop, you can join in on your phone and in VR. So it's very accessible to a lot of people, and I think that's just a great idea and well executed by the Canvasland team.
For sure. Hey, so kind of switching gears here. Let's talk about some of the progress on the new mainnet that we could see. The validators, kind of what's their role in maintaining the Luxo network?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, they are the ones maintaining the Luxo network, right? At the end of the day. So I think there's 177 or 176 unique nodes, and then there's over 10,000 validators on the network. And so the role of a validator is to essentially validate the blockchain, right? Like they're clearing blocks, they're making sure there's no double transactions, they're making sure all transactions were legit, they're approving transactions so that they can actually go through, and everything in between, right? And the participation rate has been up well above 90%, in the high 90s even. The hourly return rate has been insane. DeLorean has been showing me his computer from time to time and showing me his returns, and it's been in the mid 20s. It's been even above 30. I don't think it's gone mid 30s yet, but man, it's a crazy APR at the moment. The Genesis validators are certainly being rewarded for the work that they're doing, for literally kicking off this network and making sure it's been secure. Everyone pretty much got online with no hiccups. Some people have been down for a little bit, but it hasn't been an issue. So I haven't done my research on this what I'm about to say, but I think it's true. Is like we're one of already the most decentralized projects in this space, in the sense that the team holds zero validators in house. So there's a few people on the team that hold personal validators, but no one on the team, or like no, the team itself does not hold it or hold a validator. So that's huge, spread out between a couple different continents and a few different countries. And the goal is to become even more decentralized at the end of the day. So I think LUKSO is already embracing the nature of blockchain in the sense that we all got in this because we heard about decentralized currency and it's not tied to one project or entity. And for the most part, that hasn't really been true until right now. And we're taking the first steps towards reaching that goal. I wouldn't say that we're fully there yet, but again, great first steps.
Yeah, and talk about FOMO. I keep seeing these screenshots from the Genesis validators that they're posting, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, when? When? I'm like at the gate shaking the door. So I'm definitely going to get some set up. I'm probably going to make sure that I spread out my technique too. I'll probably do a couple different like third party staking services, and then I'll probably grab a dApp node setup as soon as those come out. Hopefully they come out soon. If they come out with like an official LUKSO one, but they'll definitely come out with like a software update. But yeah. So what else is going on the mainnet right now? What have we been able to see? What kind of just happened that's kind of like a historical event?
Yeah, so you might know more about this than I do, but from what I know, it's that the first LYX. So every token that we've had for Luxo on Ethereum was LYXE, and now it's being transferred over to LYX, and we had the first LYX transfer on the Luxo blockchain, which means that the Luxo blockchain is up and running smooth. We're able to send money from universal profile to universal profile. Yeah, is that what that means, or am I incorrect a little bit?
No, I think that's what it meant. I think it was just the first like single LYX being sent to someone else. I think it was somebody in the well, obviously it was somebody in the Genesis validator group. I can't remember exactly who it was, but they were bragging that they were the first one to get it. So, and I know that there's been some residual kind of dust being sent around too, just because people are excited.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, it just proves that everything's running smooth, which is huge because I felt confident in the team. They took their time. Fabian is damn near, or probably is, a genius. He doesn't portray himself as like a snobby genius, but I think that he's a humble genius at the end of the day. And I had full confidence in the team. They've been working really hard, and Fabian has always said that he's a perfectionist. So there was definitely some skepticisms going around, but yeah, no, this just proves that what they did and the time that they took was well worth it. And everyone that kind of fudded it, they'll pay, they'll learn.
Yeah, for sure. And you kind of touched on it earlier, but we have a super high participation rate for the validators. So this kind of speaks to the stability of the network. So that's got me pretty excited too, because that's what we want to see. We want to see that it's stable. We want to invite people to build, and we want to have a good track record that we can present. So yeah, everything's going pretty smooth right now. We're just anticipating the upcoming Universal Profiles launch, and this is going to be awesome for the ecosystem. Having the ability to use these LSPs and showcase kind of what we're so excited about is just gonna open up the floodgates. Referring to the gates again, it won't just be people trying to stake; it'll be people trying to build. And there is a little bit of a nice side. Excuse Beef Junior. There is a little bit of like a bonus here that we are an EVM blockchain that projects can convert to build on LUKSO relatively easy, and then they'll just kind of have to adapt for like if they want to really harness the power of those LSPs. But I mean, once you get the ball rolling and we start seeing things, I think the product will speak for itself. So I'm super pumped. What do you think?
I'm just thinking about how easy this podcast is when good news is always occurring in this space, right? We're a Luxo news podcast, so if the news isn't great, we're still going to talk about it. But it makes it so much more fun that everything went really smooth, and it just makes our lives easier.
Yeah, for sure. Now, plus I like talking with you. And most of the times in the beginning, I'm kind of tired, but I do get a second wind and get really excited through the podcast.
Hopefully, that happens for the listeners as well.
Hell yeah. Hey, so kind of like looking forward, what do you think the LUKSO community can anticipate in the coming months?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. What can the LUKSO community anticipate in the coming months? One thing that I hope is just new projects and the projects that we know of really starting to give some solid updates, right? I think the progress has been solid since all these projects started. Drops, Universal Page, everything between StakingVerse, yeah, all these different projects building on LUKSO. The progress has been good, but there's also been a lot of up in the air. Like we kind of have to wait for Mainnet to come before we can finalize this feature and finalize this feature because we don't know what everything's going to look like when it's all solidified, when it's all said and done at the end of the day. And so, in about a month or two, that's when we'll see the smart contracts in the universe. Smart contracts will be finalized, audited, polished, ready to be put out there. Plus, the universal profiles launching, which is just the LSP0 smart contract. But everything that'll go along with that will allow these projects to build and to start opening up betas, start onboarding users onto their platforms. So that's definitely something I'm excited about. I'm also excited to see where the LUKSO team itself goes next, right? Because again, like I said earlier in the episode, we have thought like this has been the race the whole time. Like let's just get to mainnet, let's just get to mainnet, let's just get to mainnet. But this was again the prologue, or maybe if you want to like think about it in series, like that was the first book, right? And then now we're on to the second book. And so, what does that mean for the team? The team has expanded almost exponentially over the last 2 years. And so, what are they going to be working on as far as like new and exciting projects? I think that they'll continue to build standards for the network, which is awesome. But I'm be interested to see if like a lot of along the way, if a lot of these developers and marketing teams and hiring teams, like if they had any ideas that came across their minds as they worked on this project, as far as different dApps, different use cases for the blockchain, everything like that. So there's already two projects coming along with LUKSO, which is the Dematerialize and Mason Licks. And those are both fashion based. But Fabian said in that Green Pill podcast that they chose the digital fashion route as almost like a disguise. Like obviously they're both into fashion. They Marjorie and Fabian met in design school. Marjorie is big on the fashion side, but she's just like at the end of the day, she calls herself an entrepreneur. So she's willing to work on new and innovative ideas and technology, which is really really exciting. So they've kind of stayed hidden under this fashion realm. But Fabian even said that the LUKSO blockchain could be used for DeFi, for different dApps, for NFTs, for whatever our minds think of moving forward. So one thing that we're working on is DAO governance, and we believe that the standards make DAO governance much easier. So like that's just one use case. There'll be infinite. There'll be millions. That's what I'm most excited for is just seeing what people start to develop and the ideas that come out of this launching of a new and innovative blockchain, which is going to spark the creative economy, right? So I'm just excited about all that.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Hey, and speaking of the team and kind of what they're up to, I did think I saw that they planned the Chapella upgrade. I think that's how you say it. And I think what was big about that upgrade on Ethereum was that it allowed unlocking of your staked ETH. So this would be the staked Lux.
Right, right.
Yeah, so they're grinding. They're still grinding. And yeah, I totally agree with your sentiment and super excited to see what how this all unfolds.
Yeah, and yeah, just quickly before we wrap up, did you check out their new website?
I did. I did. And what I liked it. It doesn't have the pink chains that I was partial to, but it's clean. It's clean. It definitely is organized. It's all broken down nicely. And did you get a chance to look at the advisors?
Oh, yes, I did. Let's do a quick little rundown of who we saw on that advisor board.
Yeah. So just a couple I'll list. The president of Chanel Europe, we know that we talked about in our previous podcasts. I think it was that interview with Mindy. Marjorie kind of dove into the relationship with Dr. Bernd Hopkorn. Forgive me if I'm pronouncing that wrong, but he's the president of Chanel Europe. And then Eric Fronder, which was Karl Lagerfeld's like right-hand man, photography wingman. And remember, we kind of talked about that whole collection that they're hopefully bringing onto the blockchain. And I'm super pumped to see where they incorporate that. Were there any that you were really excited about?
Yeah, so there are two, not one, but two VPs of Nike on the board, both working in like Metaverse and Web3 blockchain for Nike, but on the board nonetheless, which gets me really excited. Nike has two Metaverse projects or Web3 projects under their belt or under their umbrella with the Artifact and Dot Swoosh. And Artifact has already said, they've been very clear that there's nothing official. They're looking at LUKSO, but there's nothing official yet, which makes sense. They don't want to tie themselves down, create FUD until everything is solid. Swoosh hasn't said anything official either. They've just hinted at like having their own marketplace and starting a digital economy and just things and ideas that really align with LUKSO's vision since the very beginning, which is really important, I think. Then there's also Dennis Lisk from the District VR, who's just a great person, great personality. And I can't wait to see what comes of the District VR and how they can work alongside LUKSO. It just gets me so hopeful for the success of the District VR at the end of the day, that they're so close to the team and working with all of these incredible individuals along with everyone else on the board as well. And then there's a few Ethereum core devs. There's a few links that are broken, so that's cool. But overall, it just got me super excited, and I can't wait to see what comes of this project, right?
Yeah, there were a couple more I want to specifically mention that I thought were pretty dope. David Fisher, which is the founder of High Snobiety. So they're pretty big in the fashion scene and just culture in general. So that's pretty cool to see. There was also, like you said, that one of the Ethereum core devs, Peter Zalagi, or I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but he's been involved in like all the major upgrades and has been one of the faces of Ethereum. I know that I recognize his name and I've seen him post updates and talk about things. So that's pretty awesome to see. And then there was also Essen Shig. He had tons of like connections and an interesting background. He's also an Ethereum Foundation advisor. He worked with BlackRock. He's a Near Protocol founder, I believe. So yeah, just tons of very interesting people on the board. And I'm super excited to see how LUKSO leverages these connections and kind of what products they bring to market. So yeah, with people guiding us that are as talented as these people are, and sorry if we're not mentioning you specifically and you're listening to our podcast, but
Which we know you are.
I'm sorry.
So which we know you are.
Oh yeah. I have immense respect for all of you, and I'm super thrilled that they're part of the team. So
yeah. Well, all right. We've been going for about 30 minutes here. This has been a great podcast. Tons of things to look forward to in the near future for LUKSO. And Beef, you want to sign us off?
Yeah, as always, remember, none of this is financial advice. And apparently Beef Jr. is going to help me sign off. None of this is financial advice. That's just a couple of dudes talking about what we love.
All right. Peace out, LUKSOfam.